Hello everybody, CritCrab here with another story, this one about a DM that unfortunately TPK'd their entire party. Oddly enough though, the DM seemed to relish in it and even do it on purpose. Roll post. So, over the course of a 6-month Curse of Strahd campaign that I DM'd, a player, who will be called Blue from here on, began stirring up mischief. She would fireball party members in the area and say, "Oh, it's what my character would do," like a walking cliche. And while nobody really wanted to play with her, nobody wanted to pull the trigger and kick her out. I even tried to kick her on multiple occasions, and the party would just ask me to keep her, just in case she got better at the game. Judging by the fact that this post exists, you can assume that she didn't. So Blue kept playing and ripping off Game of Thrones with every character she would make. But Blue decided that she wanted to DM a game and told us that she was going to run Mythic Odyssey of Theros for a while. So we decided that she might be a better DM than a player and gave her a chance. I made a ditzy cleric named Caius, and everyone else made their Greek hero-themed characters. But as soon as we got in, we were approached by a woman in all red clothes with a red gem. I thought, wait, hold up, this sounds a lot like Game of Thrones. Turns out she never bought Theros and changed her mind and started a Game of Thrones campaign without telling us about it. Now, we all explicitly did not want this, since we told her not to do that with us before, but we still gave it a shot and we got into a few fights. 3 baby dragons at level 1. Following that, she threw 2 icy undead. These encounters were brutal, and we long rested, which was followed up by a mage with 7 illusion clones and then a sea hag. But thankfully, we yeeted out of the area with the hag and dodged the fight. Still, it was way too tough, and we were already seeing red flags. Although we hit level 2 by the end of Session 1, Session 2 started with a fight between the party and 2 dire wolves, which one-shot me and the druid with 1 hit each over the course of 2 rounds. But through careful strategy, we barely survived. Why were they dire wolves? Probably because Game of Thrones was using them. Then we went into a town and quickly learned through some janky exposition that they were going to sacrifice a baby to a White Walker. Just like that one subplot in Game of Thrones. So we obviously fought to save the baby and decided that our characters had no stake in this plot. So we decided to follow through on the open world promise we got and headed south in the hopes of finding reasons for our characters to get involved in the plot. That's when Blue said, "As you head north," prompting us all to protest, saying that we were going south instead, which she ignored. Thus, the railroad trap had been sprung. We ran into a White Walker who wanted the baby back, and we ended Session 2 with a cliffhanger and the promise of an initiative roll. Once we jumped back in, Blue ganked us with high initiative, and the White Walker having 3 attacks, which would have dropped me with 1 hit if I didn't set up temporary hit points for myself earlier in Session 2. Then it also somehow charmed me, which forced me to fight the party until, after 110-ish damage, they managed to put it down. Quick reminder that we are level 2. So we saved the baby and went south like we wanted to and had to long rest since the nearest town still wanted us dead for saving the baby that they wanted to kill. That's when about 8 feet of snow dropped down onto us while we were sleeping, somehow. We struggled to get out of the snow, which suffocated the druid and rogue, almost to death. But the baby died, prompting my once happy-go-lucky cleric to kinda go into shell shock due to his character flaws. Then the second White Walker showed up, but this one had different, stronger stats. The rogue and monk tried to fight it and lost, while the druid ran away, and my character spent a lot of the fight in a shock-like state that prevented him from doing anything. That is, until the rogue went down, which snapped him out of it and caused him to go into a rage mode. He healed the monk and critted on a stab on it, which did basically nothing. So the monk did what all monks do and punched the walker. His fist f***ing shatters into pieces. Again, we are level 2, so he tries to elbow the White Walker. His arm is now gone. The walker in one turn one-shots the rest of the party and then leaves. It became very clear that the DM either didn't know how to balance encounters or was power tripping. Judging by her grin, she was enjoying the TPK way too much. Through death saves, the rogue dies, and somehow the druid drops dead from some unknown magic. The monk and I survived, but neither of us wanted to play in the game anymore, so I left the campaign. Between railroading, bad plot, unfair encounters, and a lack of agency, the game was just not worth playing in anymore, and I hope I never have to play with Blue again, because I would rather have my arm shatter than sit down at a gaming table with her again. End post. That's odd. On one hand, I can't see anyone stepping up to the DMing plate just to dunk on their players, but I can't see any other reason DM would make this happen. This isn't something that the DM allowed to happen, or something that the DM accidentally let happen. It seems to have been done on purpose. This whole story is super confusing, and my first guess would be that DM was memeing on the players. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Somebody asked in the comments, did she ever try to rope you guys in for more? How did she respond to people dropping her like hot coals? To which OP replied, she asked me for one more session to try and prove herself. I told her that was your one more session, and I left it at that. So with that said, it feels like Blue either had an off day or was just genuinely a terrible DM. Maybe the grin that OP described her as having was more of a nervous smile than an evil grin. I say this as a guy that smiles or laughs to relieve tension when I'm feeling particularly stressed out. Am I absolving Blue of any and all guilt? Of course not. I'm just offering an alternative perspective. Another thing about this story that hits a harder note is the use of Game of Thrones. There seems to be a camp of people that believe killing off as many characters as quickly as possible somehow makes your game or media more realistic. This is not true. Having bad things happen and beloved characters dying on occasion is usually a sign of realism, but it's not what realism is. It's only a side effect. Just like how having a runny nose or a cough doesn't automatically mean you have the flu, crushing your players and killing them off doesn't make your game any more realistic. If it was actually realistic, then there would also be really good and easy times, some amazing triumphs and victories, and of course, comedy. Because if there's one thing that people everywhere, no matter how bad things got, usually found a way to retain, it's a sense of humor. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this one. Till next time.